Okay, can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, type yes on the chat. Okay, good. We have a tax auction investor here. We're good. Okay. So I have you guys all on mute, so I don't have to hear all the background noise like we did last time. Nobody can get control of my screen. I learned from last time. And no one should be able to write on my screen since we learned from last time. So we're good. Unless Dalton is here hacking it. Oh, we were waiting for one person and they finally arrived, so we are good to go. Okay, so we are going to look into, oh, look, how is Dalton trying to ask if he can use the screen. No, Dalton, you cannot use the screen. So tonight we are doing the tactical distribution, so we are hoping to be done in an hour. Those of you that have somewhere else to go, which I know you don't because you're not allowed to go anywhere anyway, don't say on the chat that you thought we were done at 7:30 because we won't be. We did make it a bit shorter because I didn't practice this and it went very long. So as we get going, again, I'll be trying to watch the chat. If for some reason you can't hear, it's going too fast, you need to go back, let me know. There will be times where I'll open it up so you can come in and you'll be able to hear it. One second, we have a issue real quick. Okay. So as we go into the tactile distribution, this is what we will be doing today. So what we're looking at right now is we're going to look at the distribution styles and the techniques. So obviously distribution is anything that you are able to take the ball and get rid of it from either your foot or your hand. So as we look into it, we'll see that foot, we obviously have our volley it, punt it, half volley it, side volley it. You have the ball that can hit the ground, so it's either a goal kick, rolling on the ground, pass back, and then we have the techniques from the hand. So we can bowl it, we can baseball throw it, sideways throw it. We have our overhand javelin style throw. And we'll go over what those look like and how they are in a second. Oh wait, we still have words on here. We have to take those words off. Dalton, stop trying to take control. Okay, so sorry. So we go, as you see, we have the foot volleys. For the punt, the half volley, sideways volley, and then the ones that are anything that's off the ground or on the ground, which includes goal kick that we'll go over, balls that are rolling or balls that we put outside the box to hit. So when we talk about balls off the ground, there's one thing that we want to show real quick, and we will be using, a lot of times we'll be using our little soccer session planner. So it's a little drill designer. You'll see it animated. So they look like they're moving the wrong way or look kind of weird. Don't make fun of me. One second, we need to figure out how to get rid of this. Why is Robert requesting the remote control? Robert, you cannot have the remote control. One second, let me get rid of this. Okay. So when we talk about playing balls from off the ground, there's one technique that we need to make sure we see and we start to learn, and it's one that you'll see a lot of times. The older kids, you'll see it in college. You still see it in the professionals, but not as much because a lot of them like to just knock the ball down, and that's when we play the ball off the ground. So as you see when we click our little thing to start, we make a little drill where he saves it. We step everybody up. We roll it outside the 18-yard box so that we can hit it off the ground, so we could be a lot more direct and play it right to our target so that our target can then play through. We want to make sure we have that in our arsenal of tools of distribution, just for the point that, let's say it's too windy, so we can't punt the ball. Let's say everyone's pressuring, so we can't just roll it out and play short. So we can push everybody up and then play it more direct. And also, if we're punting the ball over and over again and nobody can win the 50-50 ball, then this is a good opportunity to play it on the ground, get it outside your 18-yard box by throwing it. Obviously, don't walk it out there because that's a handball, and then being able to hit it. So it's just another one of those distribution techniques that it's something that you should work on. It's a good thing to have in our tool belt. So again, just be aware of it, and more times that you can work on it and learn it, it's going to be better for you once you get into the higher levels and into college if you want to. So again, we just show that if we just save it, we push everybody up, he's sliding, don't worry about that. We throw it outside the 18. Once he starts running at us, then we're able to just hit it, and we could drive the ball to our target, and then we could play. So it's much easier to play that way. So we move on. So our other distribution styles. So we could bowl the ball, which should be more of the short playing. We baseball throw or sideways throw when we have people are a little bit farther, a little bit outside the 18, that it's a little bit too far to roll it. It might be a little bit too close to use our overhand or our javelin. And so the baseball throw, as you can see, is with the palm throwing it almost like a baseball from our ear downward. And if you're unable to do that, there's always just throwing it from the side. So again, it stays low. It doesn't throw very high. It doesn't go very high. It shouldn't have much of a bounce when it hits the ground, and then it could get to our player. And then we have our overhand, where that's when we want to be able to throw at distances. When we talk about the tactical part of distribution, the short stuff obviously is when we keep possession, but there's going to be times when we want to make sure that when we win the ball, we always want to look to switch the point of attack. That should just be a given, and it shouldn't be a point that we wait for it all, and we have a little drill to show it, again, with our little drill maker. So let's say that we have a guy dribbling down, crosses it, so we're going to save the cross. So right away, we should be switching the point of attack. No matter what, we should be knowing that there should always be a guy in that area, or a girl, sorry, that is open. So we want to switch the point of attack to get it to them. As we're turning to throw, that's when we make the decision. If they're covered, we don't throw it, and then we can push them up. But instead of us waiting, looking, stepping, and then find somebody, then it's too far. So we need to make sure that we're in the right mindset, that if I win it from one side of the field, I'm already going to throw it to the other side of the field. And then, like I said, then we make the assessment, and we either stop it and don't throw it, or we continue to throw it. So on the opposite side of that, though, we don't want to do that one. We want to do, if we want to do a counterattack, so we still are looking to throw, we're still looking to keep possession, but we want to start to understand when do we counterattack versus when do we switch the point of attack. And so as we see on this one, the outside back gets the ball and dribbles it down the field and beats our outside midfielder, takes it all the way in, which now makes our outside back have to commit. Once the ball's crossed, hopefully we're able to gain the ball and get it. But at this point, we want to counterattack and play it right back where it came from. Since the outside back is no longer there, we're hoping to exploit that space, put it in, and then hopefully have a good chance to score. So those are some, that's a thing, again, that we as a goalkeeper especially as we start getting into the older ages or more of the advanced ages, can we start to recognize when we want to counterattack to the same side, or when do we just want to continue to switch the point of attack to the opposite side? And you'll notice on this scenario, biggest part is what we're looking for is that maybe this is what they want to do all game. They continue to play it to their outside backs so that they could play down the wing, so they could try to score off the cross. So the best way to negate that is to recognize that he or she is making this 60, 70-yard run. And if we can make them have to run all the way back 60, 70 yards, I guarantee you they're not going to be doing that more than 3 or 4 times before they're either dead tired and want to sub, or coach has figured out that stop running because you're getting beat. And that all comes from us having the idea and having the knowledge that we could actually play the ball with our distribution by throwing it into that space and playing. So once again, being able to counterattack or switch the point of attack is huge for our tactical part of our distribution. Obviously, we have to be able to throw it there, so we should be working on that as much as possible. Any questions? No questions, because I don't see anything on the comment. Negative, good job. See, someone's listening. So we're going to go on to actually talk about more of the PassBack for most of this. So we just want to kind of touch on the technical part of the punting and the throwing. Obviously, our game nowadays is a lot more throwing, so we just wanted to touch on that and understand tactically what we should be looking for. So the next part of this all is going to be the distribution from the back pass. So here we go. A little history. You don't have to read it. I'll tell you it. If you want to read it, go for it. But so the back pass, so many of you weren't even born when the back pass rule changed, which is in 1992, 93 area, right in that middle area. Or before that, you could pass the ball back to the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper could pick it up. And that became very boring for the game itself, because if you're winning 1-0 at that point in time, anytime the ball was lost, your team would just play all the way back and play it to your feet. You'd pick it up, throw it to the other side. When they ran at that person, they'd play it back to you, pick it up. Then you'd push everybody up, and then all of a sudden your fullback would run back. You'd throw it to them. They'd run and go try to get them. They'd kick it back to you. You'd pick it up, and it became very boring. So obviously they decided to change the rule, which was a very good rule. But at this point in time, we've seen that, look how long it's been, and we still don't have people that know how to use their feet as well as they should. At one point, you were allowed to actually throw the ball as a throw-in back to the goalkeeper, but in 1997, they actually said that that's too much time wasting also, because then people were letting it go out of bounds, and then they would just throw it in the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper would hold it. And so at 97, they modified that, and now you can't even throw the ball back to your goalkeeper to pick it up unless they use their feet. So there's a little history for you. Now you guys have learned at least something today. So let's talk about dealing with the back pass. So if you write these down, because you're going to have these 5 little components that we're going to talk about the whole time. So on the dealing with the back pass, we're going to speak on positioning. Earlier that we ask and get the ball, the better. Obviously the communication that we talked about in the last class, if you guys went, and then understanding our options, and then biggest thing is starting to have the knowledge of the systems of play, of how we play and how other teams play. So I suggest you guys jot those down quickly so you can go back to them. If I do ask the question on which is what, you'll be able to tell me. Is that Joe that just wrote that from his iPhone to me? Okay. Sorry, I had a little private message. We move on. So we watch a little quick little video. So Ederson, we should know him, plays for Manchester City and Brazil. Very good with his feet. So when he receives the ball, obviously He's so good that he could just play people on a dime, waits for it, sees what's going to happen. He's able to hold on to it with his left foot. Left foot's amazing, and he can play it to people's body parts. But just like we have the weaker foot, his right foot definitely is much weaker than his left. So when he does kick it with his right foot, he doesn't even know where it's going to go most of the time. He just kicks it and goes as much as he can. As you can see, even on this one with his right foot, he actually hits it so bad it's a turnover. So we show this video because we're going to break it down a little bit, but just remember it. Again, probably one of the best players with his feet at this time, or at least top 3. He even can mess up if the options aren't correct or if he even picks the wrong option. So the first thing that we talked about, positioning. When we position for the back pass, we want to make sure that we take up depth as much as possible, meaning can we be back, far enough back so we have time to deal with and make a decision for the back pass. A lot of times you'll see some keepers shift over outside of the goal, just to not so much being afraid to get scored on because you can't get into that notion. You're pushing out more for a better angle so that you can receive the ball better. You will see sometimes, and actually probably in this situation, it might have been better that he would have been probably here and stayed there. He's a professional, so shouldn't go under his foot because you have a person running at him where he is able to play it into here, and then we can work out of it. But again, the positioning is based off the game itself. So as we talk about it and go into the systems of play and more of the communication, we'll go into that. The second thing that we talked about is earlier the better. So what do we mean by that? So basically what we mean is if once the ball is played in, if we're able to talk, ask for it, and they can play it back, the more time that we have to recognize, the more time we have to figure out our options, the better that we're able to actually play it out to whoever we need to play it out to. So if you see, we broke it down into zone 1, 2, and 3. So zone 1 would be easy when the ball's here, tons of time. Zone 2, it starts to get a little bit sketchier. Zone 3, we're at the top of the 18, and then in zone 4, which many times we see balls are played to us, and that's when we have the bad hit, and the ball hits off our ankle or hit the hole or hit the little bump or whatever it may be, and we don't have time to control it, so we're so afraid to hit it. We just hit it fast, and that's why no one wants to pass it to us because it goes out of bounds. So once we understand that we want the ball and they're looking at us, we should pretty much just start asking for the ball. The earlier we ask, the more time we have, the more we can deal with it. Right? So if the goalkeeper's in certain positions, we want to label these as basically zone or position 4, 3, 2, and 1. So where the goalkeeper would be during those times is what we'll talk about as we show this. So make sure we start to understand what position of the field you're in when we do ask, or what zone. So it'll be either way. So communication. We did communication last session on Monday. Those that were there, and we got to see that we did talk a little bit about the back passive communication and how huge it is. As you see in this one, he went out like we just talked about out here, thought he can go into this area. Fullback didn't even look. He just kicked it back, and now as you can see, it's definitely going in the goal, and it's definitely going to be embarrassing. So the communication there was, did he even talk, or is he just assuming that since we do this so much, I shift over, he should play it back to me, and look what happened. So never assume. We've got to make sure that we're continuing to communicate at all the times to make sure that they look at you so they see everything, they could hear it, they could visually see it, whatever it takes. So when we communicate, we definitely want to talk early, like we talked about. Quicker we start the communication, the quicker it will register so that they could play us the ball without or with little pressure. We got to use the correct terminology. So obviously we never would say keeper, because if you say keeper, they don't know if you're coming to get the ball or if they're not supposed to touch it or what's it going to be. So we need to make sure you're saying the words, whatever you're going to say, back, ball, play me back, play me, whatever your term is going to be. It's great to make sure it stays consistent and continue it so that everyone knows what the goalkeeper is saying. Play it back, play it. You could say back, keeper, whatever it might be. Just make sure it's the correct term and it's consistent. And this, we talked about this a little bit on the last one, speak until the task is complete. So mainly at the younger ages, you might be having to actually ask for the ball over and over and over again until they actually play a ball back to you. When you get older, then possibly you don't need to. You could just play it, say back, play me, and they'll play it to you. You might be able to show the hand. On the next one, the body language, which is a huge part of the communication. Being able to show the hand, being able to open up to the outsides, open up the hips where you want the ball possibly to be played. And then the eye contact. If you're able to make sure they see you, then you definitely know that they know exactly where you're at. They know exactly what you're showing with your hand, and then you'll be able to hopefully get the ball where you want it to be going. Oh, did I go too far? Sorry, I didn't. Okay. So our next one, 1 second real quick. Who wants to be? Oh, Coach Joe, he wants to be unmuted. 1 second, let me find him. Oh, there you are, iPhone. All right. Coach Joe, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Can everybody else?
We can all hear you.
No?
Only you have the power to unmute everybody. That's why I messaged you. But go on. Keep going. Don't stop because of...
I'll just make sure if you want to chime in, everyone can hear you.
Oh yeah. I haven't found an opportunity to chime in yet.
Okay. Well, you messaged me. Okay, here we go. So where are we? Okay, so now we talked about, again, we're still going to be a little bit into the communication and explaining why it's so important. We're going to use one of my little animations before we show a real game of it. So once again, like we talked about, make sure we understand what zone we're in. So you'll see that the ball is technically in the zone 3. We, as the goalkeeper, everyone probably more into the zone 4. We're inside there. So now when the ball's played back, as the ball's played back, field player for some reason wants to go to the same side that the other person was, which results in the goal. So we want to make sure we start to understand there. We're going to go back and do that one again. No, Dalton, you can't have access. So when the ball plays, once again, he's in the way, he receives it, he scores. So if we would be able to communicate, or at this point in time be able to touch the ball into a different space, what we're looking for is that there's no reason for our fullback to go on the same side as the other one is. What he did is took away options for us to play a ball, and it made it too easy for the attacker to know that he knows exactly where to go into the passing lane and then result in the goal. So this one, though, we'll show it in a little bit of a different light. This time he plays where he should. Now we are able to play it up and we move on. So again, we create the options, we created space just by him actually, or her, going the opposite way. It makes the attacker have to make a decision. Is he going to go towards who just released the ball, or is he going to go to the goalkeeper? If he goes to the goalkeeper, now the goalkeeper has the option to play it wide. If he were to stay with the fullback or the other center back, then he could still play it wide. If he would have took away that lane, then we could have played it right to him. So again, being able to communicate and talk, making sure they understand that will help us immensely. On this one, we're able to play it wide. Now he takes it to him. So right away, what should we do? We show so we could get it back. So now we can play it to the center back and we could go. So what we're seeing here is when we want to start to understand that we have to create options for ourselves, and we have to always have an idea of what we're going to do. We should have already known, and we will do that one again so we can see it. So right when we play it and he starts to take off, we should already know that he needs help or she needs help. We want to get there, and that should open up our lane so we could go forward. So with the more that we have the knowledge of what to do, the easier this game is going to be for us. If the ball's played to this area and they have no clue what to do and we get it back and we don't have any options, that's when we panic and that's when we kick it at people, and that's where people don't want to give us the ball. So now we'll break it down into a game. So this actually happened in the game. That's why we showed that. So I'm going to show it to you first, little by little. Are we going? Somebody's asking if we're going in the rooms tonight. No, we won't go in the rooms tonight because we didn't need to, and it would have took 2 hours if we did that. So we will all stay in tonight in the big room. This one. So this happened in the game. You have the defender about to play it back. Here's your outside fullback that we saw earlier. Once they play it back, she actually starts to go into that area. She's in the area wanting it as well. Keeper, at least on this one, recognizes that there's no way that she's going to be able to play it to here, so she tries to just hit it. Only thing is, when she hits it bad, causing it to almost hit her. On this one, she got lucky that it actually went right by her and rolled away. But again, what we're trying to show here and explain is that a lot of times our backs don't know where to go as well. And at this point in time, what you could have done is you could have still played it wide. You might have just had to play it into a space, and then you would have had to done what we did earlier. And you showed that once she received the ball, you would open up, receive it back. Once the pressure is relieved from her and goes to you, then she could have probably played her center back. So again, it's just having the options and understanding it and knowing what to do with the ball. On this one, you're going to see this is a breakdown with, again, one of the better goalkeeping people with their feet, which he actually messes up on this one, Allison. This was last year's game. This was a Liverpool versus Leicester City. So what you'll see in the first picture, center back is about to play the ball back. Once he plays the ball back, none of this outside back show. They just let it go because they know that he's so good with his feet, he could probably play it to them anyway. Only thing is, as we see here, center back played a horrible ball, and it's going away from Allison, who was waiting for it here. So now he has to go chase it. Once he goes and chases it, right away that should have cued everybody to drop in and show so we can keep possession. Nobody still supports. So now he's trying to go get the ball all the way over there, and it creates what could be disaster. So now we see it in a different angle. We see that now as he runs for the ball, once again, everybody stayed. Nobody came in and showed like he should have. As he gets closer to the ball, you start to see now the player that's running at him and taking pressure. Everyone's marked. So they're doing well to make sure they're marked. So at this point in time, his only option really, as he receives the ball on number 3, is probably just to hit it. Everyone's marked up. He sees there's pressure. But what he does, and we don't show it here, but what he'll do is he'll actually try to cut back as the guy runs. He gets stumbled off his feet. The guy takes it from him, plays it in, and they score. So even at the best in the world, obviously, these happen. Again, we're in zone 4, and this is why we talked about those zones. When we're in the zone 4 and we're that deep, everybody should show. They should get deep for us so that we could play flat. So it opens up the next level, which we call that middle third. So if he wanted to, he could have played the ball here. Only way he's going to be able to play the ball here is if he would have actually ran all the way in to show flat. Once he shows flat and he shows flat, then it would have opened up and he could have played the ball. Sometimes even the field players best in the world don't do it. He should have known better, so he should just hit it. So again, we try to say don't be robotic just because coach wants you guys to play the ball with your feet and keep possession. If it's not on, it's not on. Just hit it. Coach, you want to say anything? Are you still unmuted, or did I mute you? I don't hear him. Can you guys hear me? Everybody hear me? Are you guys all still there? Tell me yes. Okay, good. Scared me for a second. Maybe we lost Coach. So we move on. So told you we'd come back to this part of the game, just so we could look at it. So again, we're looking at that is he's receiving balls in certain zones. They're showing for him. He does the right decision. His execution was just bad. So everyone was covered, so he knows he's gonna have to hit it first time and play it in. It just, again, he had it on his weaker foot, and even for him, on the weak foot sometimes fails. So it happens. But again, we want to look at which zone he's in. He's in the deep zone. Notice where they went. They came all the way back and created the space. Something that you see from teams like Manchester City, which is great because it's going to help us in the long run as goalkeepers, because that means the coaches will try to play that way. So we watch it again. Notice both center backs or both outside backs take off and go flat, which opens up space for us to play the ball to the second level. And that's huge. And that's what you want to do. And that's why we want to always try to get our players to show a lot more square, to show a little bit more flat, especially when we're in what we said earlier, that zone 4. So if we're in zone 4, we better have them there, and so that we know what to do. And again, if we don't work on this in practice, then no one knows the option that we want, and that's why a lot of times it's hard for us. So these are things that we want to bring to the table to our coaches, or we need to make sure we always communicate with our field players so that they know what we want. So he's already looking. So he sees it. He played it early enough so he could see where he wants to go with it. This one, he's just get it nice and easy through that gap, play it to the feet. So again, it's just the options. The more that we understand our options, the better off we're going to be with our feet. The better at least we'll look like on our feet. Who's muted? Oh, Joe is muted. I thought I unmuted you.
Yeah, you
There
muted
you
me.
I think you could unmute yourself, just so you know.
No, I
Sorry about
tried.
that.
It's telling me that the host has to unmute me, so you have all the power.
That's what I'm talking about. Did you want to add anything? Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. No, I mean, I think it's everything you're saying, at least in my opinion, is spot on. In the youth game, and this goes for all you goalkeepers that are 2000. What's the youngest kid you have here? 2009, 209, 2009, 2010. I saw you
I
have
think so.
Cyril. You have that girl Cyril. I can't. I forgot how to pronounce her name. I saw her on there. So like she's an 09. So for example, I think for the younger goalkeepers, if you all are between 2010 through 2000, I would say 8, borderline 7. It's what Coach Jeff said is extremely important. You guys have to talk to your coach about these situations, because sometimes at those younger ages, I'm referring to a clip that Jeff talked about maybe 5 minutes ago. When you play the ball, when you get played the ball back, you want to make sure your backs open up. Sometimes they stay staggered, they don't move, and that creates panic issues for the goalkeeper, because now when they receive, their first instinct is to boot it down the field, but it can get intercepted and played back into a shot. Or if their backs open up, then of course, as you're always taught, collect, look up, put your head on a swivel, and play it wide where you have to. I totally agree with Coach Jeff with, hey, if there's nothing on, just send it downfield. The old school way, and Coach Jeff will remember this, when the PassBack rule came back well, I mean, when it started back in the early 90s, when all you kids were just, I don't know where you kids were, you guys weren't even born yet. But the point is that when we transferred from the ball being played to us where we could pick it up to with our feet, the best option, I mean, at least what I was told, just kick it down the field, because it was so new back then. Just kick it down the field, kick it down the field. And you can look at some footage of goalkeepers like Peter Schmeichel back in the 97s, 98s. They still didn't play like you see Ederson and Allison Becker and some of these goalkeepers now. Everything, even in the mid 90s, maybe even the early 2000s, right, Jeff? You still see goalkeepers just booting it down the field, but now it's changed. So going back, I went on a tangent there. Going back, I think you younger goalkeepers need to step up and speak to your coaches and say, hey, you know, if they don't play the ball back to you, you need to step up and say, hey, I want the ball played to me, because it's your development. And to do that, you got to get those reps in the game environment. In a team or goalkeeper practice, it's one thing, but there's no pressure. There's no stress. In the game, you automatically feel the pressure. So I think you should speak up with your coaches about that. Other than that, I just learned something. I just learned that what's his name, Ederson, can't kick with his right foot. I thought he was good with both feet. I guess not. He's only human. Anyway, that's all I have to say for now, Coach. Thank you for my 5 minutes of fame.
All right, so we move on. You'll have more to say in a little bit because we're going to show more here.
Is it breakaways and like crazy stuff? Because that's my thing.
No, that's next time. This is all with our feet.
Okay. Okay.
So again, this was what we just talked about when he's in that deep zone. What is good that you still always will see is that this team, like we talked about, no, Dalton, you cannot have access. Stop asking.
Who's asking?
Dalton always asks for access to the screen, and then he draws all over it. So we wanted, hopefully, like I said, our coaches will actually watch Manchester City play more, because they got to the point now that a lot of their outside backs will play very squared, where it opens up these lanes, and that makes it so much easier for us as goalkeepers if they drop in. If he were to give the ball and stay here, now it takes away everything here. He can mark that. He can mark that. So what are we going to do with it? He's running in, so I can't play it to these guys. The only thing I could do is just kick it bad, like Ederson obviously did here. So we move on. We already showed this part, I think, didn't we? There he goes, moving back in. I just like to see that. And then you see, though, again, like we talked about, like Coach saying, it is okay to hit it. And we have to be able to hit a ball just as well. We have to be able to just touch a ball. So you sometimes got to hit the ball.
Can I add something to that point?
Sure, because we're going to go back on it. Go for it.
Like what Jeff is saying about hitting the ball, one little thing, and again, this goes for all goalkeepers, but I see it a lot in the youth game, is sometimes when the ball's coming at you and you have pressure, I see a lot of youth goalkeepers, they look more at the player pressing them than watching the ball with their foot when they kick it out. And that's where you guys tend to shank or don't get a good solid hit on the ball. So when you see pressure coming, I know it feels like a bull rushing at you like they do in Spain, but you must remember to have composure. Even in that moment when the pressure is right on, make sure you're always watching the ball off your foot. So when you do hit it, when you do a first-time clearance, that you make sure you go through the ball, but you watch it off your foot. Because if you watch the pressuring player more than the ball, that's where the mistake happens. Just thought I'd say that to Mr. Wang.
Yes, we definitely watch the ball and touch it. Don't try to kill the ball. Just nice and easy, hit it. But so part of why we're showing that, because we're going to move into what we talked about with not only do we have the options, but we want to start understanding the systems of play. So because they're pushing with two strikers, and he already has both outside backs wide. There's no way that he has any other option but to just hit it. And so again, we need to start understanding the system of play of how many strikers are they playing against us? Are they playing 1? Are they playing 2? Are they playing 3? Is there a high-low system going when 1 striker's up, 1 striker's back? Are they playing 3 when 2 are recessed, meaning the 2 wing forwards are actually dropped in a little bit? All that stuff happens and is very needed of the knowledge to know where we're going to play the ball next. And if you're in that as an older goalkeeper and you're wanting to play in the higher levels, or if you already are playing the higher levels, you better already assess that within the first 10 minutes of the game on exactly how they're playing. Oh, we have someone who's waiting. Oh, did she get kicked out of here? Because that's going to be huge. You have to be able to start understanding it. We were going to do this, but like I said, we will not be going into our little groups. So sorry that if you guys wanted to go in your little groups, we're not doing that tonight. So here's the real footage of what we talked about. You'll see that she, once again, we do it because I forgot to say it before we went, but she plays it back. She goes on the same side, nowhere else to go, so she just tries to kick it, and luckily for her, she missed the girl that was coming out and got into the way, but it still went out of bounds. But again, if we do something like that, we all know that we're going to get yelled at, we're going to get screamed at, and we probably won't get the ball passed back to us anymore because now everyone thinks we can't kick a ball because we just kick it out of bounds, and they figure they could have done that. But this is not always our fault. Some of it is. If we would have talked and told her where to go, we would have been able to do it. If we were be able to actually, we'll stop it right there. If we would have played the ball, just pass it. We didn't have to kick that ball. She could just pass it into the space. Our defender would eventually go get it. Now at that point in time, we assess and we would tell them either to turn because she's not coming and she could go, or if she starts coming at her, then we could just ask for it back and we receive it back. And now we could have probably played our center, or we could play the girl that's coming at us now, one of our attacking midfielders. So again, don't be so robotic, and at the same time, start to always understand your options and understand it's okay to do certain things. So let's show that a little bit. So as we see in clip 1, she has the ball, she plays it back. If she would have went there, it would have been easy. If she would have showed a little bit deeper, it would have went easy. Instead, they both go the same side. Neither of them get squared at all. She doesn't know what to do. She decides just to try to kick it. The girl sees that she's about to kick it. She runs in, throws her body up, almost gets a piece of it. It doesn't go anywhere. It goes out of bounds. So once again, it's just that knowledge. If we have a little bit better sense, she received it early, so there was no reason at all, if you look at clip 1 again, why she couldn't have received it, held on to it, waited for the option, or wait for the play to develop, as they say. And then as you look at number 3, over here where my little laser is, she could easily just play it right there. Wait for her to get back, and then we could have held possession and probably done something better. But that's what happens when you play the United States, you get scared. So sorry for them. They ended up losing like 6-0. So okay, we have a little thing right here. So you'll see who got, oh, okay. Somebody was telling me. Instead of me having to hear you guys say it, I just want you to tell me what you think on your little chat. Goalkeeper has the ball. Who's the best option? 1, 2, 3, or 4? These little arrows because people are coming, just so you know. And then blue team is the actual our attacking team. Red team is who you're going for. Most people say 3. Few 2s. Interesting. So I actually have watched this game, got to see this game, so I already know what happens. But so what you want to see, so we'll say, because a lot of you said 3. So the only thing what we have to understand with 3 is look over how far away he is from 3, and look at how close he is to close that space. Once he plays that flat ball, that space is going to be closed, if not taken from him. So even though 3 looks like it could work, it is dangerous because the guy's just waiting for it. So we had some to say 2. 2 definitely would work because of the fact that he's actually behind the defenders or the attackers, whatever you want to call them. The only thing is, if once he plays the ball, is he able to step into that passing lane? So it's up to him. If he feels that he could play a good ball, go for it. Great, go for it, and we move on. That is probably the best option if you feel safe with your accuracy. 1 or 4 were the ones. Did anybody say 1? Somebody said. So 1 is actually the correct answer. And the reason for that is that once you play the ball to 1, now you start to have people collapse in. Once they collapse in, either 1 can now play it to 4, 4 is totally open and he'll go. Or if 1 gets the ball and they start to collapse towards him, they play it back to the goalkeeper, who now has the option of 2 that could play it in and we could deal with it. So the reason why we're showing this one is because what we need to understand, and when we're getting balls back to our feet, is we have to be able to play the game. We have to be able to think 2 to 3 plays ahead of ourselves. We have to try to see what we hope our field players are going to do. And we are going to be the conductor of this all. We could have forced that. So I could play it to 1, knowing that these 2 are going to collapse towards 1. And knowing that, I might then show a little bit over, receive it back, let them come to me and collapse it down into this space. So now both of these players are behind the play. If I could find the gap, now we go, and they have all this space to create the next level, a 2 versus 1 somewhere else. So it's hard to see a still picture, but again, hopefully we understand why we do that. You all answered like twice. We'll move on. Okay, what about here? So we have keeper has the ball. Reds are the defending team. Green is trying to attack. Who do we go to this time? We go 1, 2, 3, or 4. What do you guys think? Don't be scared. Ten. What do you see at 10? Okay, I'm gonna unmute you guys.
What's the best? My gloves. What's the best possible thing to play where the goalie's at? Right. Someone said 10. Like, where do you see 10? I said 4 because 4 could open up.
You guys are all unmuted right now, so.
Yeah, it's 5. It's 5 because there should be someone above 4. There should be someone
the worst
there.
option you could possibly have.
So 4 is,
3.
remember, look where the goalkeeper is. Can you guys see?
3.
Told you
Four
it's
is the
sorry.
worst option.
Never play across the goal.
Play the 4. Play the 4, you're playing it flat across the goal mouth.
Yeah.
Unless again, field players a little bit more of an angle, or if you were able to turn the ball, turn your body, take a touch, and then hit it.
Exactly. If you
So
like,
you guys have a lot of background noise.
Buddha, where the hell's 10?
no, please don't. Don't mute us. Don't mute us.
Too late. You guys talk too much. So I'll unmute you in a second. So again, on this one, definitely 1 wouldn't work because he's right in the way. Okay. 2 is a lot of space to get to that ball where he could close that in and intercept it. So realistically, this is what we talked about earlier. You're playing a ball on purpose to set somebody up or set the team up. So you're looking at playing the ball to 3. Right, so if we play the ball to 3, once 3 receives the ball, you know that you're going to have, he's going to get the ball. He definitely has enough room where once he gets the ball from 3, he can take the touch, play it into 4, and then 4 is out. Or then everyone has to shift over towards 4 and deal with it. So at this point in time, we would look at playing the ball into 3, probably telling him no turn to play it out. So you could see the eyes. You should be able to explain to them where you want it, and then you play it out. Dalton, look at you. Even if you're not messing with the screen, you're messing with the chat room. We move on. So on this one, oh, we got lucky. So he plays it back to keeper. Keeper decides to play it right back. Way too much space to do the 1-2s. So a lot of times we'll see keepers just want to play it right back because he thinks the pressure is not there. If you have a little bit of a bad touch, it's disaster. There was no reason for him to play it right back right away at that angle, once again, because the passing lane was not in favor. He could have went the opposite way, or he could have just took a touch in the direction of number 7 and then played it back, maybe a little bit deeper to him, to his back foot. He plays it back to him to his back foot, he's probably okay. Instead, he tries to do a little one touch, gets a little cheeky, and got very lucky. Luckily, that forward had a bad touch or whatever he tried to do. So, again, we just show these things because it happens at all levels. And the biggest thing that we want to talk about, and we continue to reiterate, is that if you guys continue to always be robotic in what you do and don't think and don't receive the ball early enough or ask for the ball early enough, you're going to have mistakes. And that's why most of the time you see our field players make so many mistakes, because they don't have much time to think. They have 8, 9 players running at them at all times trying to take the ball from them. So it's a quick. When we receive the ball, we should already have an idea of what we're going to do with it. So we move on. Another one for you. So we have, I'm unmuting you so you guys can talk about it. This should be interesting.
Yeah.
So we have, a guy has the ball where I'm having my little laser. He's going to dribble it. Once he dribbles it into this space, that's where we want to get to the point of now what are we going to do? You have, obviously, you have the attacking player going to start defending and stepping to him to pressure. So what's the correct one? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
1.
4.
1.
4.
4.
4.
4 would work. But remember what we talked about earlier. What I want you guys to try to remember is you
It's 1.
when you play the ball. When you play the ball into that space, what's going to happen at that point in time? So you as the goalkeeper should be telling him where to play it. At that point, you should probably told him to play it back or play it square. Because if he does play it to 4, 4 has people all around him that's going to step into this space. There's nowhere else to go. He has no options because he's on the outside. And so where is he going to play it? So I heard people say 1 and 2. So either one at that point. If you play it to 2, now what you're looking for is that will he step in? Once he steps in, now you could play in to our other outside flank or our outside fullback, whoever that is. So it has free space. If we play it all the way back to the goalkeeper, depending on what we're looking for, if we're killing time and we don't want to go that fast, maybe you definitely ask for it back because look where everybody is. Everybody's so far up. You want everyone to move closer to you. Once they move closer to you, do you have an idea of where you're going to go with it next? So that's the key thing. No reason for you really to have the ball there because he's not going to have much pressure. But again, it takes away whatever the game might be. If you want to kill the time, get it back, wait for him to come, play it yourself. If not, you're trying to be quicker, you should be telling him play it square. And then right as he gets it, you should be telling him to play it line so he understands it. So you're constantly talking, making sure everyone's aware of it. I'm unmuting you again. Ready?
Come
Why
on.
is it
You
7
got
on
to talk.
7?
Yay.
Any questions on that? Anybody?
If you played it forward, can't the guy who had the ball just check it behind him and then he could play it back and then a through ball?
No.
You could. Once the ball's here, we could play it to there. And then the through ball possibly could happen. It's on. If he's good enough, we see what happens. So that would be there. But what we're saying is, instead of playing it and then we're able to play it, once you get it on this guy, can you guys see my little laser still, right?
Yeah.
Once this guy receives the ball, he has nobody. So what he's now going to be able to do is create a 2 versus 1 somewhere. So what we do is in soccer is we're always wanting to create the 2 versus 1. So once he receives it, he could run at this guy, and now he has to make his decision.
Got it.
If he steps to him, he gets it. And now when he gets it, now he gets to go, and he gets to create a 2 versus 1. And the 2 versus 1 at that point is the through ball, and we could be in. The up back through will work as long as everything works out like it's supposed to. If he only steps to it and gets it back, and they don't close it in, then you're just playing a through ball, which you're just hoping he's going to get it. And once he gets it in this area, in this scenario, there's no one there to receive the second ball. So yes, that would work, but we're saying this will eventually be better.
Okay, thanks.
So I got you. Oh, I'll give you that one. Play it there to get it back to play it through. I'll give you that one. So well done. Well, while everyone's hearing, when we go to this next one, so what we just want to discuss before we end it is that I'm going to draw on this little blank screen. Making sure we start to understand, and I'm going to make my little field, so hopefully my field doesn't look crazy. Where's my little, there it is. Uh-oh, I didn't want to do that. So we'll make our little 6 and our 18. Big 18. When you're drawing with a mouse, it's not as easy as I thought. So the importance of having an idea of how many people are coming at us, no, Dalton, you cannot have control. So let's just say these are our center backs. Here's our outside backs. I'm bringing our little, let's just say we play 3 tight in the middle. We have circle is the attacker, goalkeeper, there you are. You're in green now. If we only have one attacker going against us, obviously how many options do I have when a ball is played back to me?
7 or 8. Well, like 5 or 6.
Well, we definitely could play. We definitely have the 1, we have the 2, we have the 3. What do you guys see? Do we, this scenario, are we playing with any outside midfielders?
No.
No. So this option doesn't even apply for us at this point in time. Okay, so because of what we're playing, we only have the 1 player. We're always probably going to look to play wide. Like they can check in and we can play there, but at this point, we know the game. We know how we're playing. We know they're playing 1 up top. Maybe they're playing 1 here, and then we're playing the 2 out wide. So we have to be aware of that. What if they're playing 2 strikers and they're playing 4 in the middle? It's a big guy, by the way, but that's okay. What are our options?
The wide defenders.
You only have the wide ones, yes. So now what we want to start to look for is that, again, we have that little zone. We're a little bit deeper. So as we receive the ball, we need to make sure and tell our people they need to get a little bit more flat, get more square to us. Either that has to be a conversation that happens during practice, during the game, at halftime, whatever it takes after the game. But they need to start to understand, because of what you see happening here, they have to be a little bit flat so that it condenses it. So when they receive the ball from you guys at that point in time, you're hoping. Let me change my colors so we are on the, what's going on here. So if I play the ball into that area, now that they have to actually get into it, now I can receive the ball back. I go into the spot, I receive the ball back. Now he's no longer here. And now I can actually play it to my midfielders that are playing. I always want the ball in my feet of my midfielder, because hopefully he or she's better. We can still hear you guys, so don't have your little conversations with your dog or your family over there. So just to have a kind of a quick understanding before we leave was just making sure we start to understand how important it really is that you guys have knowledge of how many players you're playing against, where you're playing them against. Are they playing high? Are they playing low? Are they playing 3? Are they playing flat 3? Are they playing the diamond? As the older kids, you guys should start to understand that within the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, so that you understand what your options are going to be. Younger ones, you want to start learning it more and more that you could learn, the better. The more that your field player coach tells you stuff, make sure you listen so that you have the options. Like I said, what we don't want to get to the point is being surprised. The more that we're surprised, then that's the less that we're going to be successful. And when we're less successful, and this time in the game, everyone wants us to be good with our feet. If we suck with our feet, we're probably not going to move on. If we're younger and we want to play at higher levels, they're not going to want you because everybody wants to play with their feet right now. If you're older, colleges want you to play with their feet, even though most of them don't. They just kick the ball high like you saw, but you still better be good with your feet. So other than that, I saw a coach came back. Where is he? Is he unmuted? Everybody's unmuted. Questions? Anybody have a question about anything today? I'll send you guys all the slides so you'll have them. No, Dalton, you can't have control of the remote.
What do you mean? That was my question.
I said no. Jackson, you can't either. Other than that, that's all I have for you guys. Have fun. Enjoy your downtime. And I will see you guys you Monday if you come. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jeff.
Adios.
Thank you.
Hey, look, and I wasn't too over this time. Good for me. Sure, here, Dalton. Have control. Have fun. Go mess with the screen. Oh, see, you just got rid of my screen. Now I gotta abort you.
And you were coming stuff like, mute yourself. Here, come on. No, I don't have a mic. You were the one that had the mic, Mom. Just mute yourself. It's super loud.
Madeline, stop trying to get control. You can't have it either. You are, oh, okay. You were muted? How are you muted?
Yeah, you muted me, I guess. I don't know how. But how did you take away control? Because my teachers are really needing that. They don't know how to take it away.
Oh, they let people have control?
Yeah, they don't know how to take it away from them, so people are just writing things.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, you missed the last one where I didn't know that, but you have have to go onto your settings and you have to take that away where it says not allow control. If you don't, then
In the
they
meeting
have it.
or outside of the meeting?
It's, well, in the meeting, there's a thing where it says remote control, and
Yeah.
they should click that to make sure that nobody's allowed control.
Okay.
And then
got it.
there's another place in the meeting where it says there's like 3 dots,
Yeah.
and it says more,
Yeah.
and that's where it says it allows the participants to do the annotation, which is obviously drawing on the screen.
Mhm. Okay.
That's where
Yeah.
that one you don't allow. You gotta click so you don't allow annotation, because then
Oh, okay.
people just draw.
Got it. I'll tell them. All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right, man.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.